Hello students, from this lecture we are going to study chapter number 14, Ecosystem. In this chapter, main topics are ecosystem structure and function, productivity, decomposition, energy flow, ecological pyramids, ecological succession, nutrient cycling, and ecosystem services. First of all, let's understand the meaning of term ecosystem. Simply, we can understand that ecosystem is the functional unit of nature. Why it is known as functional unit of nature? Because here, when we talk about ecosystem, it can be visualized as a functional unit of nature because here living organisms interact among themselves and with the surrounding physical environment, and that's why it is considered as a functional unit of nature. It's not like that only one type of ecosystem or one kind is there. Ecosystem varies greatly in size from a small pond to a large forest or sea. So from small area to very large area, different type of ecosystems are observed on this earth. Many ecologists regard the entire biosphere as a global ecosystem. Now global ecosystem means it's a composite of all local ecosystem on this earth. So when we consider this all local ecosystem which are observed in various area in various size on this earth, we can say it's a global ecosystem. This system is too much big and complex to be studied at one time. So it is convenient to divide into two basic categories. Which are these two basic categories of ecosystem? It is terrestrial and aquatic. Now we can understand what is difference between terrestrial and aquatic type of ecosystem. First, terrestrial ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem, here forest, grassland and desert area are covered. It is known as terrestrial ecosystem. If we talk about second, aquatic ecosystem, we can say it's pond, lake, river, estuaries and some other area. Here main habitat is water. So this way, on the basis of this habitat, two type of ecosystems are there: terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic type of ecosystem. If we talk about crop fields and aquarium, it may also be considered as man-made ecosystem. Crop fields, they are actually man-made, but we can consider as a terrestrial ecosystem, and aquarium, that is we can consider as an aquatic type of ecosystem. Structure of ecosystem. In order to appreciate the input means here productivity, transfer of energy, it means that food chain or food web, nutrient cycling, and the output means what? It is a degradation and energy loss. So we can say input, it means productivity, transfer of energy, it is through food chain, food web and nutrient cycling, and the output, that is degradation and energy loss. We can also study the relationships, cycles, chains, webs that are created as a result of this energy flows within the system and their interrelationship. So various kind of ecosystem it is observed on this earth in this nature, depending on this type of condition and interaction between organisms. Now basically structure of an ecosystem and function of ecosystem. So first of all, we should understand that various components of the environment, as we know, some are biotic and some are abiotic component. We have already studied about it in detail in previous chapter also. So we can say that these individual biotic and abiotic factors affect each other and their surrounding. So to study structure and function of any ecosystem, it is necessary to understand about these components also. Here we can say the interaction of biotic and abiotic components result in a physical structure, and that is main characteristic of any kind of ecosystem. It is very important to understand interaction of biotic and abiotic components result in a physical structure, and this is characteristic of any ecosystem. Identification and enumeration of plant and animal species of ecosystem gives its species composition. If we are taking example of ecosystem of different area, so different kind of species of plants and animals are there. So we can consider that ecosystem gives the idea about species composition also. Vertical distribution of different species occupying different levels, it is known as stratification. Stratification matlab vertical distribution of different species occupying different levels. It is a stratification. It means that they are organized into different levels one after another. Simply we can take here example of trees occupy top vertical strata or layer of any forest region. Then shrubs second, and herbs and grasses, they occupy the bottom layers. So any forest ecosystem, tree occupy the top vertical strata or layer, shrub they occupy second layer, and herbs and grasses they occupy the bottom layer. So this way arrangement of this stratification is observed in any ecosystem. Now components. Components of the ecosystem are seen to function as a unit when we consider some aspects. Which are these aspects? So basically these are four aspects. First, productivity. Second, decomposition. Third, energy flow. And fourth, nutrient cycling. First, productivity. As we know, on earth, plants, they are primary producers. So the total gross primary productivity is occupied in any ecosystem is actually it's the rate of production of organic matter through photosynthesis. It can be considered as a productivity of particular type of ecosystem. Second is decomposition. Decomposition is what actually? Here organisms known as decomposers. They break down complex organic matter into inorganic substance like carbon dioxide, water, nutrients, and this process is known as decomposition. Third is energy flow. On this earth, sun is only the source of energy. Plants use this sunlight for photosynthesis purpose. Plants are producers, then consumer depends on plant for their requirements, food requirement. So each and every level in food chain, food web, energy flow remains continuous, but during this transfer of energy, some amount of energy is lost. So it is about energy flow. Fourth one, nutrient cycling. As we know, for survival of any organism, either it is plant or animal, continuous supply of nutrient is must. It is required for various physiological activity in their body. So, in nature, in our ecosystem, for this purpose, nutrient cycles are observed. It may be carbon dioxide cycle, sulfur cycle, phosphorus cycle and some other, and they are considered as a nutrient cycling. This way, components of ecosystem which are related with this functional unit of ecosystem, they are productivity, decomposition, energy flow and nutrient cycling. Now let us discuss about productivity in detail. Constant input of solar energy is the basic requirement for any ecosystem to function and sustain. Primary production is defined as the amount of biomass or organic matter produced per unit area over a time period by plants during photosynthesis. Plants are autotrophs. They consume sunlight, absorb sunlight. They show the process of photosynthesis. Through photosynthesis, food is prepared, okay, and this way they are actually producers on this earth, main producers on this earth. Okay. If we talk about this rate, express the term of this biomass, this total production in terms of weight per gram or energy. So we can say kilocalorie or in the form of kilocalorie. The rate of biomass production is called productivity. Now how this productivity is expressed? Some units are there to express this productivity in terms of gram per yard or kilocalorie per yard to compare the productivity of different ecosystem. It can be divided into gross primary productivity, it means GPP, and net primary productivity, it means NPP. Now what is gross primary productivity, GPP, and net primary productivity, NPP? Gross primary productivity, GPP, of ecosystem is the rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis. It is important to understand this term, gross primary productivity, it means GPP. Okay, it's actually rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis. Considerable amount of GPP is utilized by plants for respiration. Gross primary productivity minus this respiration losses means R, if it is known as capital R, it is considered as a NPP, means net primary productivity. So now you have clear idea about GPP, gross primary productivity, NPP, net primary productivity, and what is R, respiratory losses. So this formula is important here to study related with GPP and NPP. GPP minus R is equal to NPP. It means that gross primary productivity minus respiration losses, capital R, is equal to net primary productivity. It means NPP. Net primary productivity is the available biomass for the consumption to heterotrophs, it means herbivores and decomposers, which depend on their requirement on producer. Secondary productivity is defined as the rate of formation of new organic matter by consumers. So it is known as secondary productivity, which is the rate of formation of new organic matter by consumers. Primary productivity depends on the plant species inhabiting a particular area, because plants are primary producers on this earth. They can prepare food by process of photosynthesis. It also depends on a variety of environmental factors, availability of nutrients and photosynthetic capacity of plants. So, this type of productivity, primary productivity, means produced by green plants. It also depends on a variety of environmental factors, availability of nutrients and photosynthetic capacity of plants. Therefore, it varies in different type of ecosystem. Annual net primary productivity of the whole biosphere is approximately 170 billion tons. It's a dry weight of organic matter. Of this, despite occupying about 70% of the surface, the productivity of the oceans are only 55 billion tons. So, this way, on this earth, in this nature, in various ecosystem, various kind of ecosystem, this type of productivity is achieved. Plants, they are primary producers. Through photosynthesis, they can prepare food, and consumer depends on this plant for their various food requirements. And GPP, gross primary productivity, NPP, net primary productivity, and GPP minus R, मतलब gross primary productivity minus respiration losses R is equal to NPP. It means net primary productivity. So, we can say, this productivity is the main to provide this type of requirement. Okay, it is supplied through producer on this earth, and consumer depends on their food requirement on this type of primary producers.